So, welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here for today on the show. What can I say? Already the highlight of the week by far, because we have on the show the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the one and only, the legendary, and maybe a superhero. Let's find out. Kayla, how are you today?
Good. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing fantastic. What better way to have an incredible, super badass Tuesday than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Oh, I feel the same way about you.
There you go. Love it. Now, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. But also, on the description below, you're going to find all of Kayla's social media. Let's follow her. Let's find out why she's super badass. We're on a mission right now, right? And without further ado, let's jump in. So I want to start, this whole epic conversation by throwing out the very first question, which is, what first pulled you towards acting? And was there like a moment you were like, you know what? This is good. This is where everything begins for me, let's say.
Yeah. It's hard because I think there's a lot of moments like that I still experience to this day. I mean, if you go back to my childhood, I always loved entertaining people growing up. I would put on shows for my family and friends, and I loved cracking jokes and making people laugh. Just sort of the idea that something that I was doing was giving people emotion and helping them experience something was really powerful to me, and I always knew that since I started with theater when I was, 7 or 8 years old. And then I think as I've gotten older and started learning more things and experienced more, I've realized that there's just nothing else that I wanna do. I always get drawn back to acting in one way or another, which I feel like, I'll get into maybe in a little bit. But I think with all of those moments, it's impossible for me to not feel that this is what I'm destined to do with my life.
Okay, I like it. And
Yeah.
once you decided, right, this is gonna be my passion now, you started, to making your kind of your first steps, let's say. Tell me, what were some of those kind of challenges that you first encountered as you were making it to a pro career?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you have to learn sort of what it takes to make it a career, whether that's finding the right acting class for you, because there are so many different ways to act and so many different methods that people follow. And there's no one right way to do it. But I think it's a matter of figuring out what works best for you. So it's a lot of just self-discovery. And so in my day-to-day life, when I'm feeling certain emotions or even just talking casually with people, I have to be aware of the way that I'm speaking and the way that I naturally speak because, that transfers over to acting because you want it to be real and authentic and, you don't wanna put on a voice or, like, anything of that sort. You want it to, like I said, be really authentic. So I think that was definitely a big challenge, and I think having acting coaches and people sort of mentoring and helping me in this path of life was definitely a really big challenge for sure.
Hmm. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And tell me, what do you think that it's still one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about actors?
I definitely think that people think that all actors, which this might be sort of contradictory to what I was saying before about what first drew me to acting and made me realize that I wanted to be an actor. But I think that a lot of people think that actors are always super outgoing and like always on because they, can be on camera and like exuding these really powerful emotions. And I think people think that that carries into just every aspect of a person's life, but at least for me, I love my alone time. I love, love, love recharging completely in solitude, whether that be just like eating good food and watching a movie or a TV show or just hanging out with, family and friends. I definitely think that that's something that I like to do, and I need that in order to, be the extroverted person on a set or, just have energy in my day-to-day life.
What would you say that it's your favorite food or your favorite films? I'm
Ooh.
curious to know.
My favorite food?
Hmm.
I love sushi. I could eat it all day, all night. I need to learn how to make it though because it gets expensive very quickly. Like one sushi roll can be 18 to $25 even sometimes. So, I definitely like making, you know, some at home, but sushi definitely is up there. And then my favorite movie, probably Forrest Gump. Yeah.
Oof.
I
Okay, I
love
like it. Yeah.
I love Tom Hanks, and I think he embodies that role perfectly, and it's just the perfect storm of a movie to me. I love when movies have a lot of moving parts too in them, like I mean, Forrest Gump has a lot of different scenes and moments in Forrest's life, and you kind of have to be, like, quick to keep up with it, which for me, I have my attention span sometimes isn't the strongest, so it definitely, like, is nice to have a movie that you have to keep up with a little bit too.
Totally. Totally. Okay. I love it. And tell me, what is like a role that made you feel, yeah, like completely seen or completely lost?
I think the roles where I have to be a super confident character are have actually been challenging for me, which I think has taught me a lot about myself because I think when I'm on set and there's certain lines that I have to deliver, certain pivotal moments in a script where, this actress or this character is fully, taking control of their life and not letting anyone else dictate what they can and can't do, and they have to, like, say no to someone for the first time, or they have to just really, like, dig their feet into the ground and, like, say, "This is who I am." I think that is something that at first made me feel completely lost. I remember, like, one of my first projects that I did last year, and coach talked to a friend, and then by the end, I definitely, slowly over time started to build up that confidence, and then found that in myself sort of. So it was almost like the character taught me something that eventually helped me feel seen when in the beginning I was lost. So,
Mm. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Now, what is your usual process when you are in this journey, right, of creating a character? Do you have like a specific ritual, or like do you find a way to kind of separate yourself to it? Like, what is your thing here? Let's say.
That's a good question. So when I'm preparing for a character, I always love talking with the director, producers, even other cast members sometimes about what they think, the main objectives of the story are or what they really do want to see from the character. And then I take that and sort of, reading the script is definitely important. I think Matthew McConaughey said in an interview once that he will read a script multiple times before the job. So he'll read it like once normally and then once later on after he's worked out and his endorphins are high. He'll do it, while he's crying just because it keeps giving you like a different perspective on the story. And I think that that's really important to sort of get down to what like the root of it is and see in all of those different scenarios what like you keep finding yourself coming back to. So honestly, I have been ever since I saw that interview of him talking about that, I have tried to do the same. So I that's a really big preparation. And then sort of separating myself from the character on after set. I love driving myself to set because I love listening to music or listening to audiobooks as I drive. That sort of almost takes me out of like my current world and puts me in a different world when it comes to audiobooks. And so that's kind of a nice separation. And then also with music, like my music taste is mine and it is something that I can always go back to when I need a separation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And now that you're talking about music, tell me, what is your music taste, or what song could describe more about yourself and your career at the same time?
I always love Billy Joel, and he has a song called, She's Always a Woman, and I every time I listen to that song, I feel like it's a song about me. I just think it's such a powerful example of, like, womanhood from someone else's perspective, and it's nice to sort of, like, hear someone talking about, like, all these things that women can go through and that I personally I relate to and I've gone through, like, my ups and my downs, but still at the end of the day, like, I'm still always a woman. So that's a big song for me that I really love and that I feel is exemplary of my life and my career. But I think my overall music taste is more of the popular type of music. I have a very broad taste, like, I do love country, I love house music sometimes depending on the scenario that I'm in. I love, like, folky sort of type music if I'm, having, like, an early morning, drinking coffee. I love sort of, like, R&B if it's late at night and I'm driving. It sort of all just depends on the mood, but I think if you looked at my on repeat on Spotify, it'd be a lot of pop music. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, I'll take it. I'm starting to discover why you're badass. I mean, I'm getting this vibe here. I'm like, okay, this is cool.
Thanks. Yeah,
Uh,
thanks, I appreciate
That's
it.
amazing. That's amazing. And tell me, have you ever found a part of yourself that you didn't expect while embodying a role?
Definitely. I mean, just like I was saying with the confidence, I feel like acting has built up my confidence so much and my ability to be a person both while working and in my own life because I think something that I do try to take into my acting is being real and having elements of myself in the character that I am cast as. And I think that's what makes good acting so great is when it is real and you're sort of combining your own personal experiences in the words of this other character. And so I think when it comes to confidence, like I said, that's a really big one. Sort of like just any sort of self-discovery that a character goes through. I love sort of coming of age stories, and I think that's something that I've been doing a lot lately. And so it sort of continuously allows me to, experience what another person might and then see if any of it's applicable to my life in like their coming of age or their experiences and how they handle situations. Like, is that how I should handle situations in the future? Or would I not have handled it like that character? I hope that makes sense. But
Hmm.
yeah, definitely a little bit every time.
I love it. I mean, at the end, it's more than just learning your lines and good to go, right? Some people might think, and I find it amazing when when an actor finds the way to kind of connect with the character, and then I mean you can totally tell, is that I mean I can't really explain, but like this feeling when you are watching something and then somehow you feel connected to the character, I think when that happens, it's just amazing because like the fact that you're caring about a fictional character so much, that if somehow they kill the character, you actually have real emotions to it. Even though that, yeah, sure, it's fictional, but the emotions you're having are real. I like this connections to it. I think that somehow it shows us how much we kind of crave for this connection. That we kind of needed. Yeah, that is kind of part of ourselves. That arts in general are kind of a huge important part of our human self somehow. You know what I mean? So
It helps things make sense in your real life. It helps, when you see a character that is and sometimes those are hard to watch too, where a character's super manipulative or abusive or any sort of negative trait, and you can kind of watch that and be like, "Wow, this reminds me of this person in my life." And then you can sort of like it just helps you make sense of situations and then also just realize that, yeah, you're not alone. I mean, everyone needs those escapes and those reminders.
was there like a moment that really hit hard, and how did you navigate it through it?
Definitely. I mean, I think being in the industry for as long as I have, I've even experienced most recently signing a contract with a company and then being a week away from starting and then pulling out from the contract and just no explanation, like casting someone else. And I think it was moments like that. And I mean, on top of that, I was in China when that happened, filming a project. And so it was just, I just felt super, super lost. But I think when I was younger, I've also had things like that happen where, I've been called and told on the phone. I remember when I was 7 or 8 no, 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 maybe I was a little older, maybe like 10, 9 or 10. I was going to be in a summer production at my theater that I was acting at. This was before I started film and television, but I got a call that I was gonna be the lead. We were doing Charlotte's Web over the summer, and I was gonna be Wilbur the pig, and I was so excited, and then some, like, drama happened, which is crazy to say that drama happened when I was 9 years old, but it definitely did, and yeah, it was a similar thing where they just, pulled out, and I think I thought that my life was over in all of these moments where I've been so close on certain projects, and then it just hasn't happened for whatever reason, and the easiest thing to do is to blame yourself and to be like, "What could I have done differently?" Like, "What if I had responded to this email 5 minutes earlier?" Or what if I mean, like, when I'm 9 years old and I'm wondering what I can do better, it's like, I've only been on this earth for 9 years, I don't know anything, and yet I'm still just so accustomed, and my first instinct was to be like, "I messed this up, I'm the worst person ever," you know? Those things definitely have, like if you don't handle them quickly, can have, like, deep-rooted they can just, like, take root very quickly in your life, and it's a hard thing to dig out those roots. So definitely, I mean, yeah, the rejection is just part of it, and sometimes it makes you wanna quit, and sometimes it makes you wanna cry, and, sometimes you may even do both of those things, and then, something else will come up and you'll realize why it happened, but when the most recent one happened where the project pulled out, like, a week before, I had one of my friends DM me, and he just said, like, "Nothing that's meant for you will ever leave you." Like, if you don't book a project or, they pull out, you're not missing anything because in the grand scheme of your life, like, you just weren't probably meant to be on that project, which in the moment is a very hard thing to convince yourself of, but it's important to definitely take control of your thoughts when that stuff happens because it can be a slippery slope for sure.
Totally. I mean, at the end, nobody likes being rejected. So,
Of course,
got it.
never. But you definitely I mean, it definitely is part of it, and I think rejection there's that thing that people do, have you ever heard of this? Where I think it was based on a TED Talk, but there's a guy who tells people to go out and do 100 days of rejection therapy, where they just go into, like, grocery stores. One of the things is, like, you ask the grocery store if you can make an announcement over the intercom, and, like, the worst thing they can do is say no, you know what I mean? They're not gonna throw you out because you asked that, and then just hearing the word "no," you become accustomed to it, and it becomes something that you're not even really affected by anymore because, for one no, there will always be a different yes somewhere else, so and outside of the industry, I mean, you like, every career, everything in your life, you'll experience rejection at once. When you're a baby and you wanna play with the knives and you're maybe that's not the best example, but kinda makes you sound crazy, but, like and your parents have to tell you no, you know what I mean? That's a form of rejection in itself too, and so it's definitely important to not fear rejection. Yeah, to sort of embrace it. I think that's what having sort of like a really good sense of self does also, because you know that when you hear a no and you just wanna feel lost and empty, you can find if you know yourself, you can find these things that bring you joy outside of the situation that you're experiencing, whether that's hanging out with a friend or reading a book, watching a movie, like those things, a movie can't say no to you watching it, you know what I mean? So it's like, you can always find those things that bring you comfort and happiness.
Between auditions, this whole downtime, right? How you stay creative.
How do I stay creative? Ooh, that's a good question. I think watching movies and television is really helpful for my creativity. Just seeing stories come to life and then also watching interviews of actors and create other creatives is helpful because it just sort of inspires me. That's like I think, you're the most creative when you feel inspired and that's what watching movies and watching interviews and stuff really does for me. I do like to journal sometimes. That's really helpful. I like just writing things down, writing thoughts down. I'm currently trying to write a script, my first script, and I have like a week where I won't touch it, and then I'll touch it like every day for like 2 weeks, and so it's a lot of back and forth, but that's also kind of the process. But so I definitely think like watching things and writing things definitely help with the creativity. Yeah.
I'll take it. I love it. Now, what usually keeps you grounded in an industry that can feel anything but stable, basically?
Yeah. I mean, it's the things that don't change no matter when the industry does. My family, I love calling them and going to visit them because that's always, the same. And they're the ones that have known me since I was a baby and, they've always loved me. And so I think that's definitely the number one thing that keeps me grounded. And then I also have a cat. And so my cat definitely helps me feel grounded too, even when he's, scratching my eyes out and leaving scars all over me. But I think having an animal that just, like, cares so much about you and loves you so much unconditionally, it just goes back to, yeah, that unconditional love for sure. And then, there's other various people in my life too that have always helped me feel supported and loved, friends, family, like, in relationships and romantic
Yeah.
interests, and stuff like that too, so and I think too, like, this is maybe a darker way to think about it, but if you think about being at on your deathbed and, like, is my career going to be with me then? You know what I mean? Like, the career is like this dream and this amazing thing, and I want it so bad, but it's like, my family will be the ones holding my hand and my friends and, it's all about love at the end of the day, so
As you look back and look ahead on your career and everything, tell me, How has your definition of success have shifted?
I think when I was first starting out, I thought that all of this industry was about red carpets and, having my name yelled out and like, Kayla over here, Kayla over here. And these, pulling up in limos, wearing the nicest clothes. And of course, all of that stuff is still nice and it's still, part of the dream of Hollywood. But I think that the feeling of fulfillment is truly what brings me the feeling of success. When I'm on set and telling a story that I do care about, with people on set who are passionate about the same things as me that make, the workday fly by. Like, sometimes you work really long work days on these sets and sometimes they do feel long, but then more often than not, they feel short because of who you're with and, because you do feel like you're doing what you were made to do. So definitely that's like my new version of success. And then, just reminding myself that like every set is a gift is a big one too, because it could all end at any point. So
Now, for our next section here, quick speed up questions, yes or no or pass. Super easy. I'm
okay.
going to ask you 10 questions. You can say yes, no, or perhaps pass. Let's find
Ooh,
out.
I'm excited. Okay, cool.
All
Okay.
right, so let's get started. You ready?
Yes.
Cool. So, have you ever cried after an audition?
Yes.
Can you separate personal pain from a performance?
Sometimes? Is that a good
Okay.
answer, or do I have to say yes, no, or pass?
Well, we can leave it in 50-50, 50 yes, 50 no.
Okay, I'll say no, actually. I'll switch that to no because I don't wanna be on the fence, so I'll say yes or no or pass.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you enjoy watching your own work?
Yes.
Have you ever turned down a role now you wish you took?
No.
Can you cry on cue?
Yes.
Do you believe typecasting still defines careers?
Yes, but I wanna add a caveat that it doesn't have to, it just can define careers.
Okay. I'll take it for sure. Have you ever walked out of an audition on purpose?
No. I have turned them down, though, before.
Do you still get nervous before going on set?
Yes, definitely.
Have you ever improvised something that made it into the final cut?
Yes.
And would you play a character that scares you?
Oh, absolutely. I want to.
Before we wrap up here, tell me what's the one moment in your career that reminded you why you started in yeah, like why you started in the first place?
I mean, I think I think on these vertical projects specifically, we work 12-hour days at least, and very often we'll go into overtime. And so when I was filming in China for one of them, we actually had a 20-hour workday. And I my call time was 6:30 and I didn't wrap until 2:30. Um, and I was just feeling so delirious. I had, so many emotions throughout the day of just being like, I just want to like sleep and all that stuff. But I think like in the midst of that, like 20 hours still didn't feel like 8 hours would at any other job. And so I think even though, I'm delirious and super sleepy and cold, because it's super, super late in the day, and I had to wake up the next day and, like, do another 12-hour day, and I think the fact that my body can go into this sort of autopilot mode where I'm okay doing that, I think it's, like, those moments that remind me why I started because it's it's almost just like you're not even thinking about it while you're doing it. Of course, like, sometimes you're gonna be a little frustrated with things, but still, like, if you gave me the option to do a 20-hour workday on a film set every day or do 8 hours in a corporate office, I would do the 20 hours on a film set every day. So,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Badass.
Yeah.
Amazing. And my last question.
Yes.
We can all enjoy and relax after an epic chat here.
Epic chat, yes.
So, what do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
I just kind of like the idea of, like, becoming her, if that makes sense. Like, becoming her in the sense of whatever her is, whether that means, like, just your own person, sort of like the "she's always a woman" sort of thing, like, becoming an actress and, like, learning about herself and, just all the things that have led me to, like, where I am in my life right now.
What will be the title again?
Becoming her.
Becoming her. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I
that
think
sounds
you could
like a
add, like, a subtitle too about, like, acting and becoming her, acting, rejection, and finding yourself or something like that?
so becoming her and right below to it with small words that. I'll do it.
Yeah,
Sounds
that'd
like
be
a plan. You got it. You know,
fun.
that sounds like a franchise to me already. Who knows?
Yeah, right?
I love it. I mean, and at the end, what can I say? I mean, I'm impressed. I love it. I mean, yeah, it's amazing what you do. It's super awesome the fact that you're pursuing what makes you happy. We all know that sure, it's a pain in the butt, and sometimes it can take you to some very moments in which you will be questioning yourself, like all of that. But hey, the fact that you're doing it, you're making it happen, you're showing results, you're having fun to it. I think
Yeah.
that is super amazing. But you're also, besides creating cool stuff, you're also showing us that at the end of the day, everything is possible. And I think that it's a powerful, awesome message, super positive that we all need, especially now in this crazy era that suddenly we want to kill each other bad and all of that. The fact that we can rely on people like you who is just, showing us how to have fun and to actually how to pursue your dreams. That is epic. And now I discover why you're super badass. So,
Thanks. I know. Did I reach superhero level?
yeah, sure.
No
Absolutely. 100%.
way. Thanks.
100%. And I'm super sure that our next conversation will be about the multiple thousands projects you've been here and there, because I do
Absolutely.
think that great things happen to those who are honest by heart and to those who are just doing things because they just like them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Epic,
Well, thanks for
epic.
seeing that in me, and thanks for taking the time to talk to me. It was really, really great to
Absolutely.
hear about your life and all the crazy adventures that you've had too. I loved it.
Yeah. Thank you as well for making this happen. I do want to thank also those who stayed the whole episode. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But also, I mean, by this point, come on, you should know why Cayla is super badass. So let's follow her. Let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Cayla. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there. Keep being super badass. Keep doing what you do. And I'll be seeing you in the next one.